Welcome to another episode of the Near Live Around podcast and YouTube channel. I'm Ronaldo McKenzie, the host and creator, and I have a dynamic person, someone who I have not spoken with in a long time. We went to school together, and I've been following her work. Just so you know, I'm one of your biggest fans. I follow you on Facebook. I follow you on LinkedIn. I know everything what's going on in your life, and I've seen the growth, and I really wanted her to come on the show to talk about her story. This is another episode, another series of What's Your Story. Welcome to What's Your Story.
Thank you so much, Ronaldo. It has been ages, and it's my pleasure to be here.
And this story, and basically we normally ask, "What's your story?" But let me first say this about Cameka. Cameka is best-selling author of 27 books, indie publisher, creator of and I learned about this a couple of days ago, the Authorpreneur Secrets Academy, and I'm quite sure you're going to be talking about that. And one more thing I learned about her that I have to share. According to her page, Ruth Mission, 10,000 Caribbean entrepreneurs by 2030. According to Cameka, more than a product, more than sales. A book is not just a product to sell, but a platform for transformation. She says, join me in my mission to raise up to 10,000 Caribbean entrepreneurs by 2030, who will use books as a platform for poverty alleviation, life transformation, and vehicles for their vision. Let's write and publish more books to preserve our culture, showcase our abundance, build generational wealth, and leave legacies. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. That captures the author entrepreneurship mission for real.
I haven't seen, a lot of people follow the show from JTS all over the world, Ghana. They want to know when did you went to Jamaica Theological Seminary? And
yes.
What's your story? Because here, and your fans are going to see this. They want to know what's your story. You have published 27 books. You've started this academy. Why you started it? But first, what's your story? What's your journey? Go ahead.
That's a tricky question because it depends on what angle you want the story and which aspect of your story you want to be.
This is a liberal show, and you
want to emphasize.
Yes.
Is it the author story? Is it the educator story? Which aspect?
Yes, I know you're an educator as well.
My life turned with a book.
Yeah.
I've always been passionate about books. So let's start there, because as a teenager, I was introverted and I found it difficult to make friends. So from high school, I used to be reading a lot of novels, Mills and Boone, Silote, and all of that stuff. And I had a friend, Jaime Mendoza, who used to lend me these books, and I would read these books, 2-3 of them per week. Yes. And then early teens too, Nancy Drew, Hardy Boy. So books were like my best friend because I was on the more reserved side. So I was thinking this morning, marveling that I was at an event on the weekend, an apologetics event, and I moderated the session, and persons were like, "Oh, but you look like a natural and you did very well." Yeah. And I said, I didn't feel nervous. Yeah. And I'm looking back at the shy 17-year-old who would not get in front of anybody and talk, or the teenager that was reserved. That's what was written on my report card, to the person who can stand in front of an audience and not feel nervous. Okay. And so my story is one of transformation. It's a whole life transformation that has taken place. Someone that God called from a young age. I felt at 8 years old that God called me to preach, and that I would go all over the world to preach. But then I wondered, is that something that women could do?
Yes.
And so that never left me. And so missions was always my interest. And so by the time I turned a teacher at the age of 20, that fire was still there, that I got a sense that call to missions. I wanted to go overseas and serve. I wanted to serve with Wycliffe. And then the seminary, I was looking where to go to be trained for ministry. I was thinking of Oral Roberts University. And my pastor, being a graduate of JTS, gently nudged me. That's Reverend Renard White. His wife
Yes.
taught at the seminary, Blossom White,
Oh yeah.
Dr. Blossom White. And he gently nudged me in the direction of JTS.
Yes.
And I didn't want to do the regular program. So I wanted some theology, but I didn't want to spend 4 years. So I did the BA in General Studies with an emphasis on theological studies, and there were only 3 of us doing that combination.
Yes.
And so it has always been like that. I've always dabbled in different things. I think I'm an integrationist. So that's a large part of the story, how God transformed the shy, depressed, suicidal young girl into one who is fixed on purpose and impacting other people's lives through her giftings. And that's the story.
You know what? That's powerful. You know, I don't, you know, sometimes you don't see people, you don't know what's going on in their lives. But tell me a little bit about your transformation, because I didn't realize that. You talk about suicide. You talk
Yes,
about,
yes, yes.
yeah,
My transformation. So from a young age, there are things, childhood trauma, there are things that happened in my family that, led me to feel as if my being here was not a good thing. So I remember at the age of 10 writing on the wall. By this time I was living with my mom because my dad migrated when I was 5. And he and my mom, they weren't married.
yeah.
She married somebody else. He married somebody else. And I remember writing on the wall, I wish I was not born.
At
And so
10 years,
between
at 10 years old.
at 10 years old, I was writing that I wish I was never born because of how I felt treated. And I just felt like I was unwanted, unloved, and had no purpose or significance.
What
And
made you
that,
feel that way? What gave you that feeling? What was happening in your childhood?
like I said, childhood trauma, there are some things that happened very early.
Yeah,
And I don't want to delve much into it.
okay,
When I
yes.
wrote my first book, I did like put everything out there. And that's a thing you're not supposed to do when you're writing a memoir, right?
Yes,
It's
yes,
not that you want to distort or change the incident, but you have to share with purpose.
yes.
And when you publish, it's not therapy, right? So right, you can write for yourself, but when you're publishing, no. So
Yeah.
for example, there was a death in the family, and as a child I was blamed for that, and that led to
Oh, wow. Yeah,
separation
yeah,
and different things, right? So I carried the weight of
yeah.
that I felt unwanted. I felt like I was the bad pitney. In fact, when I went back to the community where I used to say I was afraid to go back because there were people used to say, this is a little bad pitney where you used to live, so and so. So from a young age, there was that stigma. And so I didn't feel like I belonged and that I was bad, damaged goods. And that stayed with me for quite a long time throughout my teenage years, leading to, suicidal ideation at 13, first suicide attempt. And then just throughout, I became a Christian at age 14, and that kept me, right?
Wow, you
So
took it right out of my mouth. I was going to ask you, how were you able to go through all of that to be able to realize?
it's faith and a search for purpose, the existential questions, right?
Yeah.
Why am I here? So I was asking that from a long time. Why am I here? And it came to a boiling point at age 17, where though I was a Christian, I didn't understand my purpose. I didn't understand a simple thing as why long life is a gift, because I didn't want to live long. And so I started searching the
Yes,
scriptures,
yes,
why long life, you know, And I started asking questions every single day. God, why you wake me up? By this time, depression had really taken a hold. I was in college at that time. And I guess some of it too, because I was heading on a path career-wise that I didn't want. Like I was sent to teachers college and I wanted to go to sixth form because I was bright, right? And I wanted to become a quality control chemist. But you know how it is when you're from a humble background and your parents want to give you a career from early.
Yeah.
And I'm from a long line of teachers, especially on my dad's side. My dad, my grandaunt, cousins, uncles, a lot of them. So I was disappointed in getting my 8 subjects and still having to go to college, teachers college, instead of, and so some of those things, and because I don't talk,
Yes.
you bottle all of these things inside, and I was struggling, and it was in the midst of that. That's why I said painful journeys can lead to beautiful destinations, right? And how my life has turned out better than I dreamed.
Is that in one of your books?
This is the latest book that's out. I should really, I
Yes.
have copies with me,
Wait, say that one more time, please.
Painful journeys can lead to beautiful destinations. So the Lord kind of used that situation in the midst of me questioning, why am I here? Why you wake me up each day when I don't want to be here? I went to a church, and you can't dismiss the charismatic and the prophetic. I believe God still speaks. And it was at this place that they said to me, God is about to remove your timidity. He's going to launch you into something new. You're going to travel across the nations. He's going to send you mentors. You're going to have a big ministry. Remember, I am shy. I don't talk. I want to disappear, right? And he's going to use me. So all the things that I am doing now, as I reflect on it, I was like, whoa, I didn't see that, but I believe all of that revelation was an answer to me searching, why am I here? What is my purpose? And so I became very purpose driven, that, okay, I'm going to give God my everything. So going to seminary was one of those steps. At 21, I started preaching. And I used to get into debates, especially about what women can do and can't do. I don't know if you remember any of those. I was known for my contentious.
Yes.
Yes, very controversial. My first paper was about women in leadership. For the use of English class, by the way.
Yes, that was Erica Campbell.
Yes.
Yes.
So I've always been kind of like going on the path, let's travel that. And so my life just became all about ministry, because this is where I saw purpose that was spoken about at 17. And then in hindsight, oh, this is what was spoken of too. That little thing I got at 8 years old, I would love to preach and go around the world. And so that desire, shortly after graduating from JTS, or before graduating, I went on my first cross-cultural missions trip and to Cuba, and I started going every year and got involved in different missions. That's how I was able to go to different countries, meet different people, and the Lord just kept sending people to talk to me about that direction. And then heartbreak, fast forward. I was engaged to be married. That didn't work out.
Oh, wow. Yes.
What and then it happened twice. And I kind of hit rock bottom again. I don't know. I kind of hit rock bottom. And that was in 2013. And I was wondering, not suicidal, but I remember saying, God, I don't want to be here anymore. Why you did this? Why you doing this to me? I hate you. You're throwing that kind of tantrum.
Yes.
And in the midst of this painful thing again, God revealed purpose and destiny, that he's not through with me yet, right? So I remember this is a quote that turned things around. Endurance is not just the ability to bear a hard thing, but to turn it into glory. And you and I have a common mentor. When I was going through that dark night of my soul, I reached out to Pops, Reverend Courtney Richards,
Yes.
and I was telling him, you know, what was happening. And he really prayed over me and he said, listen, you are loved, prized, and valued. Because when those things happen, it robs you of your sense of self-worth,
Yeah.
right? And he reminded me that I'm loved, prized, and valued. And he
Were
really
you
prayed
writing
over
at that
me.
time?
No, I hadn't started writing. So this is where the breakthrough is going to come now. So I had my mentors like Rev talking to, and then one of them said to me, this was, I'll call his name Reverend Allen,
Yeah.
the missions teacher, not Reverend, Dr.
Yeah.
Allen. He said to me, writing is therapeutic.
Mm.
And maybe you should write. And by writing, you could also look at the women in scripture
Yes.
and what they went through and bring a contemporary understanding. And something just clicked. I mean,
Mm.
I was told I could write by Dr. Black in 2004, but I didn't believe it,
Mm.
you
Yeah.
know? And all of a sudden it clicked. And within 11 days, I wrote my first manuscript. It was my story,
Yes.
Heartache Queen Unshackled. And within 9 months, it was published. Now, for me, it was just this one book. I would use it to help bring healing and transformation to other hurting women. I would sell the book, and it wasn't just that. I had gotten a vision. I called my design to win a 10-page plan for my life. Because I used to do personal development and all of those kind of things come together. And I just had this vision for my
Yeah.
life that I would write a book every year. I would help, I would do a personal development ministry. I would use books as a platform for transformation. And all of that came. So that which was meant for evil to destroy me, the Lord said, you can use that now to go the extra mile. That's why I say painful journeys can lead to beautiful destinations, especially if you see God's purpose in it, it can turn for your good. And that just changed everything. I started a business, the publishing and personal development business,
Yeah.
and everything just shifted. I didn't expect to write 30 books. I didn't expect to be meeting the people that I have met. I didn't understand the significance of books, that you could build an author business,
Yeah.
and just a whole heap of things. Just in seeking the Lord, things
Wow.
just shifted to
Yeah.
sometimes I look back and I'm like, who was that girl compared to the woman here today? I can
You have
actually
transformed.
see the change.
I see. Yes, I remember. I see you. Even at JTS, even in 2003, 2002, you were still shy in a sense. So when
Yep.
I saw the books, I was like, okay, you have broken out, but little did I know what was going on in your life. And what was meant for evil, God, you said God turned it around and just used it to just bring him glory.
Yep.
And now tell me now that you have written other books. So how did that move now from you were telling us a story from you writing that book into writing several books and now a vision for developing other authors?
Yes. Well, I like to give myself a challenge, right? So, or God likes to give me a challenge too. So, the first book, I really struggled. I wasn't working,
Yeah.
right? And I had this huge vision. I would write and publish 5,000. I would print 5,000 books, sell it, become a millionaire. It didn't work out. And the first experience was very painful, not on account of my publisher. I didn't know enough, but then when it came to the printing of the book now and all the money that I had to find, that that was a huge challenge. And
Yeah.
so I said, the next time around, I would want to publish for myself instead of going through a company. And that's where it kind of started. But then it's as if I even went into that with fear and trembling because people started asking me, no, you've published a book, how does it work? And they kept coming to me. But for me, my first 4 books, when I had
Yes,
to edit
yes,
and do
yes.
different things, it was painful. I mean, literally the time and everything. So I had a mind block.
Yes, yes, yes.
And I didn't, but people kept coming to me. And then again, it depends. I keep saying the Lord, the Lord, the Lord. Everybody might,
Right.
not understand. But then I had this impression that God was saying, no more 9 to 5, that I needed to leave my job and I needed to be free to minister. And therefore, books became the thing.
Hold on. That is a sacrifice.
Yeah, it's
I,
like going to missions, right?
and I'm quite sure you got a lot of book pushback from a lot of people.
Oh my,
I am
Jesus,
I
I've
will
been
pull up.
called
I mean,
workless. I have been
Cameka,
called foolish. I
Dr. Cameka, hold up.
We don't reach doctor yet, but
Dr. Ruth, but I know that's what's gonna happen. But you left your 9 to 5 to venture out on your own. And at this time, did you what was going on financially? Did you have
no,
anything?
I didn't. I didn't have any 6 months. You
Yeah.
know, the advice you put 6 months cash, um, put it aside. But this
And
was
you're in
not
Jamaica.
entirely
You're in
new for
Jamaica,
me.
you don't have the like you know.
Savings, 6 months savings set aside, gradually exit. I didn't get that.
Okay.
I didn't have that kind of preparation. It was an immediate
Wow.
stop,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And so I knew from the first time, 2015, just trying to sell books, that wasn't enough.
Yeah.
And so what I had to do, what I did, I sought coaching.
Yes.
And it was from an upcoming author and entrepreneur at that time, Crystal Day. We were just starting out, but she understood more of the business side. And that coaching helped me. And so when I was told to jump, it's not just to leave the 9 to 5, it was also to start the doctorate.
Wow. Okay.
So that don't make any sense.
Yes.
How can I not be working? I don't have any money in the bank. I don't have cash stacked up, and you must think I'm delusional, right? You're not hearing from God.
Wow. I'm quite
So it never made sense.
Yeah.
It never made sense. And so I said, Lord, well, this don't make sense, but I'm going to step out. I had 4 books by this time. So this was 2018, July. July 4, I sent in my resignation. America's independence was my independence. And I was at Heart at this time, teaching at the Jamaican German Automotive School. Sent that in, and I was trying to pencil out how many speaking engagements I have to do to make this work, how many books to sell to make it work, and even funding my doctoral program. I thought I was saying if I could get X number of persons to buy X number of books, it would work.
Yeah.
But it didn't work like that. It wasn't just through the book sales. And the first 4 years, Ronaldo, were challenging.
Yes.
There's a price you're paying. And then because of pride, you don't want to ask for help. So there were hungry days.
Oh my! I said people with poor people don't like to ask for money, but Donald Trump needed some money the other day, and he was asked created a GoFundMe page. I do that all the time.
The billionaire.
Yes, they ask for money, but middle class and working class people.
Pride. I struggled.
Right.
But having done the coaching and you keep looking for ways, one of the things Priscilla said to me, she said, coaching is lucrative, but I didn't have the confidence. Many times it's not the ability,
why is
it's not
it that
lack of ability, you have to believe in yourself.
Oh, why? Tell me, because I know where you're coming from. Because
with my kind of background, humble beginnings, daddy not there, wasn't there with mommy for a long time. So there was no if you're looking for a classic psychological case of what happens when there's no early attachment, that kind of thing, and
Yes.
separation from parents early. I didn't start living with my mom again until I was 10 years old. So there's no early bonding. And then you enter into a step parent situation.
Yeah.
It's a classic case, you know, so not valuing and believing in myself. And people have, it's not from the outside, and it's not what people think of you. This is internal.
Yeah.
They always told me that I was bright. So intellectually it wasn't that.
Yes.
It's just
How
because from early you feel unwanted. I think it's the same thing from a childhood. And you know what the psychologists talk about, the early foundation. So if at 5-6-year-old you think you're a murderer, and you are told you're a bad person, right? Because what you did caused somebody's death, then the foundation is shaky, you know, and you don't have the people around you affirming you and that kind of. If it wasn't the grace of God, I'd be gone a long time, because you're a child processing these things. And so it took a while to build up the confidence. You know, confidence comes with competence. Confidence also comes from that kind of setting where you are affirmed, and it's also it's something that you have to. It's about worth. I don't know how to describe it, but the understanding of self-worth, Jim Rohn says, the beginning of progress. I had to go back to scripture. You know, I am made in the image and likeness of God.
Yes.
God don't prize junk. So it's a whole mental transformation.
Yes.
And you really have to, a lot of things, I don't remember what Penny's last name is, but it's some Penny person said almost everything in adulthood can be traced back to childhood. Yeah. All the problems and whatnot can be traced back to childhood. So because my childhood foundation was shaky, right, and lacked that nurturing from my understanding, that affirmation of who you are, your place in the world, it laid that kind of foundation for you not to see your worth. And I believe that's the plan of the enemy, because if he can blind you to your worth and the possibilities, then you cannot effect change.
Yes. Wow. You know, I wrote what you said: confidence versus ability. You said it's not about it's not about ability. You have the ability. Actually, I've never really heard anyone talk about it like this before. This is the first time.
Yeah, talent is not enough.
Yeah.
It's just like what Marcus Garvey said, right? Without confidence, you're going to be twice defeated in the race of life. So, and I know people talk about Godfidence, but it is still confidence. God gives you, you know where your ability lies, so you can trust him to believe that you can.
Yeah.
So it may seem controversial, but it's really up. If you believe you can do the thing, you can. And if you don't believe it, then you can't. But that's what the scripture says. If you believe, you will see certain things. If you believe, right? So you have to believe that God has given you the ability to do what he has called you to. And that's what faith is about, believing even without seeing. But it has to be personal. And so for a long time, I didn't believe in my abilities. And that affects everything. That affects how you do business. I know it seems like we've gone off on a tangent, but even within the publishing, I didn't understand the value of being an author or what a book is. And most authors don't even understand. Intellectual property is like the new gold, right?
Yeah.
It is very valuable. It is something that you can spin into different ways and means. So I talk about multiple streams of income. And so for me, God said, start your degree, leave the job. I have to figure out how am I going to make a living. And selling books alone wasn't enough. So the whole idea of building a business around books, offering coaching, here's a key. I'm not afraid to share it. Many people don't like to read, but they or they don't want to buy that book that is priced cheaply. The book may cost $20, $10, but they'll pay you thousands of dollars to hear what is actually in the book for you to teach it.
Yeah. Yes.
And so, whereas a book may cost $20, you create a coaching program that costs $500, teaching the very same thing that is in the book. And that's one of the secrets. So if you write it, you can teach it. It's easier to become a millionaire teaching the content from the book. But the book gives you authority, gives you authority.
Yes, yes.
And so because I was indebted, I stepped out in faith. I was over $1 million Jamaican dollars in debt from the first publication and racked up other debts with the other publication. I had to learn to publish cost effectively, and I wanted to help others to do it cost effectively. That's why we have this book, Entrepreneur Secrets: Write Fast, Publish Cost Effectively, and Generate Lasting Income. And so when you have the bills to pay and no other source, you have to find a way to reproduce what your job was doing. Because a job is, the income is sure. There's that recurring revenue. So how do you create recurring revenue with your book so that it's similar to the job you had? So that is the task. And I learned that just selling the book, especially independently, you don't have a big publishing house backing you. You don't have a name. How? So thank God my mom sent me to Teachers College, although I didn't want to go. I had to apply those teaching skills,
yes.
To create curriculum and sub, around it. So like I have my publishing certificate, the very same skills that I have. All my books are a piece of me. It talks about my development, the lessons that I learn along the journey. So I learned how to write books. I write books to teach people how to write books. I learned how to publish cost effectively. I write the books to teach people how to publish cost effectively.
Yes.
And I practice maybe I call it the Ezra principle: study, practice, teach.
Wow.
So I study what others have done, what works. I study my own self. And
yes,
I practice on myself. I experiment. So why so many books? I heard of a movement called 20 books to 50K. Michael Anderle said that if he had 20 fiction books selling $7 per book, then he could earn $50,000 a year and retire in Cabo. And I was turning 40. I'm not happy with my life.
Yes.
And I'm like, how can I make the next decade greater than the decade before?
Yes.
And it just sparked a challenge. I'm going to have 20 books for 2020. And so I wrote 20 books in a year.
Wow. And you are a deep person. You and ladies and gentlemen, we're talking to author Cameka, and she has written several books, 27 books. Cameka Ruth Taylor. She's an academic. She's an authorpreneur. She is very invested in developing other authors and herself becoming a multimillionaire. That's the goal for myself, actually, over the next 5 to 10 years. Multimillionaire, not just a millionaire. And you are doing it. I am very impressed with the work you're doing. I wish we have more time to talk to you some more, because I know you are a very busy person. It was hard to get you back on the show. And I want to follow up with you because I want to talk to you some more about this new project as well. But before you go, tell us a little bit about what you're doing now and the project. And I know you also are teaching as well. Tell us a little bit about
that. So quickly, I'm celebrating 10 years as a published author. And I thought about it today. Yes, so the first book was published in January 2015. This is 2025. And the business was registered in January 2025. And so it's 10 years in business, 10 years as a published author. So over the weekend, I'm having my anniversary church service and the launch of my 30th book, Better Than I Dreamed: How Painful Journeys Lead to Beautiful Destinations. I'm also going to be starting a Better Than I Dream book club with that book. And through the academy, the aim is to certify at least 100 publishers, people to start their publishing business, and then they now raise up 100. So that's how we get the 10,000. So 100 publishers within 5 years publish books for 100, and then teach them now how to earn from the book beyond just selling it, because they're over like what? Sorry, at least 30 different income streams.
Yeah.
And then I have the publishing company Bamboo Sparks that provides the premium publishing services, package deals for clients. So that's what is happening. The celebration, because I could not let 10 years come by and not do anything. So I'm in a very reflective mood and celebrating that through books, God has given me strategies that I'm able to do what many authors don't do, which is they don't make a living from their books. Most authors don't do that.
That is true.
And I want to know, pass on the lessons that I've learned. And that's where the academy comes in. So it's publishing, education and training and business development around books.
Now, wow, what you're doing is really interesting. And by the way, we don't have a lot of publishing or publishers in the Caribbean, in Jamaica. Say, for example, even in the US, universities have publishing houses. I think only University of the West Indies have a publishing house.
Yes, and I think UTech started one as well.
So there are universities you could work with, such as that you could work with to help. This is really revolutionary. And I'm quite sure you're doing something new, something different. What has been the support from in terms of federally to promote initiative? Because what you're doing is really interesting and innovative. You are developing in terms of literacy, readership, developing authors on entrepreneurship. What has been the response from the government for initiatives like yours, or have you gone to the government of Jamaica?
No. No,
what?
You're the second person who has asked me. I remember last year, because I recognize that to grow as a business, you can't just depend on personal initiatives. You need grant funding, you need different things, right? And so I was practicing pitching to a leader in one of our churches, and he said, "Why haven't you taken this to the government?" But I don't know if I'm skeptical. When you talk about politics and government sometimes, but there's a prophetic word on my life, which I think this is the first time I'm saying it, that government will come calling, corporate will come calling. So let's see how it goes. Yes. I still a little bit timid in that area. Maybe when I finish the doctorate, because the dissertation is on entrepreneurship as a model for sustainable income through microfinancing. So maybe what God wants is for me to get the doctorate, have the findings, and then maybe out of that I can propose something that not just Jamaican government, but government across the region can use to develop the creative industries of which writing and publishing is a part. So maybe that's why he's setting me up and say, go do this doctorate. And maybe that's what is happening. So that's for the future. Let's see how it happens. But I've not been big on going to government for anything.
Well, we'll see, because you are doing this is a really needed business, what you're doing. You are improving literacy. And I hope you. And by the way, just so you know, you are already doing the doctorate. My idea about education. This is the 21st century, and the fact that the body of work that you have put out over the last 10 years, and the work that you're doing now, it really is to be commended. And hopefully they can create one more question. I'm sorry, I keep asking questions. Have you thought about creating a syllabus or curriculum in colleges, with schools, partnering with schools to develop a curriculum? Because
very much so. This is the text.
Okay.
Because I have that. I have some things in the works, and I want to finish the doctorate first.
And you have copyrighted and trademarked these?
Yes, this is trademarked.
Okay, great.
Entrepreneur Secrets is trademarked. So I have like Now we have like a $5,000 certification and training program.
Okay.
And we have, for example, I have a publishing course that's free on Udemy, Publishing Secrets 101. Over 2,000 people from 97 countries have done that. And so the whole academy is to have that curriculum. The dream would be one day to actually teach in terms of a publishing degree. I know you has something, but more on the business practical side. That we're not just saying write the book and sell the book, but show how to use that to really build out author businesses. And not just author business for authors, but how to use books as a business card.
Yes, yes. Oh wow, this is really good. And I know you've published 27 books. Have you able
30.
30 books now? Okay, so
Yes.
you need to update your page.
Yeah, because Better Than I Dream is book number 30.
Now, what about publishing with other persons? Are you working with other persons, mentoring, developing other persons right now?
Yes, I've been doing that. So we've published, I have business partners, right?
Okay.
And we've published over 100 books for other authors, including some significant people in our country, like the former, Adrian Nicholson, Attorney General of Jamaica. We
Yes, I
published a
remember.
book for him. And I have a summit every year. Well, now we have two, but the Caribbean Entrepreneur Summit, that has been going. We've had 5 staging. That is to help educate and train and develop persons. So I've partnered with others. I have trained and certified at about what is by the end of this year will be about 12 others to publish. Yes. So it's multiplying. It's not just me. So it's not just my books.
Yeah.
It's the books of others.
You're smiling. You look excited. You are enjoying yourself, aren't you?
I've gotten to a stage where I love it, but it took me last year to really surrender to it. You can know that God has called you to something, and you're doing it because God called you to do it.
Yeah, man.
But you haven't surrendered to it to enjoy it. Yeah. And it was last year, June, that I came to a place of stop not resisting and following it, this path wholeheartedly and embracing it. So perhaps that's what you're seeing. But I was being pulled along. We just do this, God, because you said to do it. I really want to do this, And it's 9 years of tug of war with me and God. I finally surrendered last year.
I'm happy you did. All things work together for good because people like me, I'm gonna need your services in Jamaica. I publish and write and stuff. But we need, but why do we need to reinvent the wheel when you are there? So that's powerful to know I actually didn't know that you had a publishing aspect of the business as well. And there are many people who might want to. If people want to get a hold of you anywhere in the world, how do they get a hold of you and your business?
They can, for publishing, they can go to bamboosparks.com, and that's bamboo with a U, one word. bamboosparks.com, and they can book a free consultation session. The first one is complimentary, or they can go to my website, extramileja.com or authorpreneursecrets.com, and see Ruth Taylor on all social media platforms.
See Ruth, guys, check out bamboosparks.com. Check out all the work that Cameka Ruth Taylor is doing, a dynamic, innovative woman. Interdisciplinary, liberal arts, liberal studies. But I said, and I went on to do liberal studies because I did at JTS. I
saw that.
But I went on to do, and it's powerful. I love it. And general studies and liberal arts is almost the same thing, really. But this is great. Cameka, you've got to come back. You're welcome to come back. Okay, moving forward now, we can just talk. You can talk me directly now, but you gotta come back to the show. If you're dropping
Thank you so much.
You're dropping something new, come talk to us. You talk about a story or a book, come talk to us, please. And we are growing on YouTube. We have over 26,000 subscribers.
Wow.
in terms of on Google Maps, we have over 1 million viewers. We are growing. We are growing. We are everywhere on iTunes, iHeartRadio, Spotify. We want it, and we are also celebrating. We are celebrating 4 years. 4 years have been rough, and you heard what Cameka said. Her 4 years. We are 4 years as at April 21. It has been rough, but we are getting over the hump, and we are really getting to the next level. But thank you so much, Cameka. You have the final word.
Well, I just want to thank you for having me. And I want to say to persons, pay careful attention to the persons God send in your life, because they just may become your purpose partners, because it was no coincidence meeting you at the seminary. And remember, painful journeys can lead to beautiful destinations. So believe that your future can be better than you dream. Don't give up.
And ladies and gentlemen, don't worry. I know you've been texting and sending me. We're gonna have her come back and talk, and we're gonna do live shows. Just so we're gonna be doing live shows. I know we're gonna be going on radio and so on, but we're gonna be doing live shows, and we're gonna ask her to come back, and you guys can call in and talk to her and so on. And hopefully that's something Miss Ruth Taylor can think about doing, having a podcast, and she wouldn't even need to have it, because we can facilitate it. That's our area of expertise. Ladies and gentlemen, we are the Neoliberal Realm Podcast and the Neoliberal Realm and the Neoliberal Corporation. We're available at theneoliberal.com, RonaldoCMcKenzie.com, store.theneoliberal.com, which is our e-commerce page. If you want an Ants Business Solutions, if you want web solutions, services. Just so you know, we are celebrating 4 years. We are going to be releasing the second book coming up, Neoliberalism, Neoliberal Globalization. Reconsider is coming up. You got to get your copies. And we hope to be, I know Cameka has an event coming up on Sunday. Sunday you have an event, Cameka.
Yes, the 10th anniversary church service and book launch.
Is it going to be live?
Better Than I Dream.
Any link? Is it going to be live? Is it going to be carried on YouTube?
No, it's not going to be live. I just wanted well, the service might be live. Grace Missionary Church, they broadcast their service. But like the after church service part with the get together, the launch is that's not going to be streamed. But if persons want to join the Better Than I Dream book club, they can go to extramileja8.com/BTID club, and all you have to do is to purchase a copy of it, and then we're going to have cohort 1. 6-week study through the book of Ruth with this book, Better Than I Dream, how painful journeys can lead to beautiful destinations.
Ladies and gentlemen, this interview has been amazing. You're giving me chills. I am loving it. This is powerful. Guys, we will have her back. Thank you for making it the Neoliberal Corporation and the Neoliberal. We're always serving the world today to solve tomorrow's challenges by making popular what we're not walking. And we are gonna